Dr. Sawyer will be originally from Harlem, and will be introducing some of his experiences as well as his analysis when it comes to hip-hop as well as critical race.
Hey, peace everybody. One of the things I would like to say first and foremost is that hip-hop saved my life. If it wasn't for hip-hop culture, if it wasn't for this ability to share my voice, being in a hyper-marginalized place, I wouldn't be in this position to be here, one on this panel or teaching a class on the sociology of hip-hop culture. I grew up in Harlem in the 70s, 80s, 90s. This is before Starbucks, this is before the Disney store, this is before it was cool to come to Harlem. This is when the only white people you saw in Harlem were firefighters, police officers, and people trying to get drugs. This is when Harlem was a place that you didn't want to come to, right? And so over the years, I've seen Harlem change with, the gentrification that's been taking place over this recent time. And so for me, when I heard about this Harlem Shake piece, of course, people started sending me email messages like, "Yo, D, how you gonna let them do this to Harlem?" I'm like, "Do what to Harlem?" Then I see it, and then it hurt my heart, right? I mean, people know me as the Harlem son. I always rep Harlem. So I saw this, and at first I thought it was funny, but then I started to see, like, oh, time. First of all, why are they calling this the Harlem Shake? I knew what the Harlem Shake was. I seen it at the Rucker. I seen it in the streets. I did it. I wouldn't do it right now because I'm scared to throw my back out, but it was a problem for me. And I think, for the people who say that, it's just a dance, granted, it may be just a dance, but when you think about, power and privilege, and you think about an underserved population who doesn't really have a lot of power to control their environment, one of the few things that you can control is your body, and in certain senses, your voice. And so the movements with the body, it's kind of, this is what we do, this is how we create. And this dance keeps us from selling drugs, it keeps us from being part of gang activity. So it's more than just a dance for some people, it's a way of life. And then when people ask the question of what if a person of color appropriates white culture, I start to think about, like, what is white culture in an American context? If we think of anything that is popular culture, nothing has been really created by white people in this country, right? If you think of any musical form that we have in the United States context, it's been created by people of color. I'll let you rest on that for a bit, right? And so if you think of the blues, if you think of the jazz, if you think of, gospel, if you think of country, which is a derivative of the blues, if you think of hip hop culture, right? All of these things have come from the bottom and then have been culturally appropriated, have taken off from the top. And so this whole idea that the Harlem Shake is being culturally appropriated is nothing new. Like, it's nothing new. It's always something that happens. And so what Melissa Harris Perry did, I think, was important. What the real Harlem Shake did was important. But I think people, with the rise of media is only a tool if you know how to use it, right? And so we have to start to get people to understand how we can use the tool, not as just mindless consumers of what's put out there, but also critically engaged producers of culture and producers of resistance through the use of these tools, right? Because it's only a tool if you know how to use it, or if you can recreate the way that it was intended to be used, which is the essence of hip hop culture. And so I wanted to kind of recite some lyrics that came from Brother Ali. In his new CD, Morning America and Dreaming in Color, he has a song on there called One More Hit, and one is spelled W-O-N. And he talks about, in verse 2, he says, "Fetishize your culture, yet while it's still among you, we analyze, insult it, and criticize and judge it, look down upon you, say your music's from the jungle, and the civilized country couldn't gain anything from it. Said it's from the devil, and it could cause nothing but trouble, and tell you that you're ugly and you think you're so disgusting, but oh please, just give me one more hit. Give me 20 years to see if I can learn to spit. Your soul power got me so excited that I went home and tried it till I could do it just like you. Just a little bit lighter, tired with less fire, still sanitized to white people's liking. Now they're so inspired by the way that I recite it. Celebrate a pirate as our nation's greatest writer. Please, oh please, just give me one more hit. We like your music better when it's spilling from our lips." Right? And so he lays out this whole idea of the cultural appropriation, and I think he was also taking the jab probably at himself and also to Eminem, right? So this idea of cultural appropriation, if you go back to Elvis, and we go back to all these people who have taken this culture but didn't want to be involved with the people. Like, you can celebrate it, you can make money off of it, but you don't want to deal with the struggle that this music was created out of. And so I think that's the problem that I have with people who say it's just a dance. It's just a dance to you because you don't go into these places where the students are dealing with underserved schools, lack of music in schools, dealing with gun violence, dealing with the NYPD or the NYPD gang, if you want to call them that. Like, so you're not there dealing with all of this. And so that's why this is not just a dance. And with the rise of the internet, you can do your research. There's Google. Do your research on Harlem and you can do the work. And so this whole idea of people being in the state of not knowing is problematic for me because we have the tools and resources at our fingertips, right? And in our phones, we can have the world right in our hand. So people need to do the knowledge and understand the history of this cultural appropriation, and that it's not just a dance. This is a repeated violation that continues to take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Now, without any further ado, Mariah Kenneth.